We are here after day one of the 37th Space Symposium. It's the largest convention held in Colorado Springs every year, and we're here to recap what happened today. Rich, why don't you tell us, this is Rich Cooper, heads communications for the Space Foundation. And Rich, what are some of the things that went on today?
Today you saw literally why Space Symposium makes Colorado Springs the capital of space. Certainly at least 1 week out of the year, but it certainly draws more attention to what this community has to offer. What we saw today was a number of major national security leaders talking about obviously the challenging situation with Russia and Ukraine and how that is changing how we live, operate, and connect in this world, and how those relationships are going to come about. Secretary Kendall made the comment, and I realize for some members of the audience that are watching who lived through the Cold War, he basically said we need to get comfortable with getting ready to feel like that again.
I even quoted him saying that.
I was going to say, if anyone's going to quote him, it's going to be you, but that we heard resoundingly. I think a lot of times we expect political leaders and even military leaders to sort of, try to offer some wiggle room words. In the course of that, they made no illusions about the threat that Russia poses to the security of Europe, as well as the threat and challenge that is out there with China, as well as how we're going to navigate through that. And when you have persons like Secretary Kendall and you have General Raymond and we'll have General Dickinson tonight, they're all basically being very frank and very candid about what that environment is. I think every company that is here, whether they be a local, national, international, recognizes that what's happening right now with Russia is going to dramatically impact the way they operate going forward. It's a real game-changing moment. And there's one other big thing I think that stands out. You heard a resounding confidence from military and national security people talking about what the commercial space industry can do. We hear a lot of words about, oh, you're our partner. Well, I think we heard a lot of people that said, you're our partner. And the fact that you can do some of the things that you can do, particularly with commercial imagery, with resilient communications. In a press conference that General Dickinson had in this room earlier today, he made a point that for all the things that you can go ahead and do, allows me to go do other things that I have to do. He's got a partner.
And much of the imagery we've seen of the Ukrainian invasion leading up to it and during has come from commercial satellite imagery, has it not?
It has. And again, I don't think it has been unusual before the February 24th invasion to where we saw images that were being provided by Maxar and Planet and others. There was never a time, I think, that I can remember where, again, you were having commercial imagery of this situation multiple times a day being put out. You might see one image or two that might come out in the course of the day, but it is constantly, they're putting it out there, which makes the narrative on this conflict a real challenge for Russia, because the proof is in the pixels. It's right there.
Photos don't lie. Unless they're photoshopped, but these
the camera doesn't blink, but the proof is in the pixels. When you see consistently, I mean, how many, what was it, 2 weeks, we at least saw a 40-mile convoy stuck?
Yeah.
Because they either didn't have fuel or whatever the purpose was. But again, a 40-mile convoy, you can't really hide that easily.
That's
and we were able to take a look at that. And again, the intelligence agencies as well as the military forces, and let's even say the Ukrainian citizenry, because of that imagery, knew what was happening right then and there.
Here we have Dennis Huspeni, also part of the team here from the Gazette, both Denver and Colorado Springs, covering Symposium. Dennis, you just came from a briefing by the governor. Tell us a little bit about what the governor said.
Right, well, the Colorado Space Coalition is rolling out a new marketing campaign called Aerospace Colorado, and they really want to present a unified voice, so to speak, to the industry, to the educators, to the government. And so they The governor spent a lot of time today talking to the Secretary of the Air Force and a lot of CEOs from companies that are expanding here in Colorado. And so he talked a lot about that campaign, about why Colorado is such a magnet for aerospace growth. I'm sure you all have heard it because of our talented workforce, because of our retired military population here, because of the military operations, the bases, and such and so forth here. And then also just a conglomeration of companies that have been here for Lockheed Martin and ULA, United Launch Alliance, have been here for many, many years. And so it just starts to gather momentum. But they figured, at the time where Space Force HQ might go to Alabama, and there's some other kind of threats that they were looking at on the horizon, they're like, now's the time to bring our voice together and to unify it for the industry to tell Colorado's story.
Oh yes, the U.S. Space Command headquarters location.
Right.
Anything else today? You wrote about Amazon, did you not? Joining the space race?
I didn't. I did write about that. They just signed a contract with United Launch Alliance to use their new Vulcan Centaur rocket to take approximately 3,400 mini satellites up into space to create a constellation of broadband capabilities for the whole Earth. So they want to make sure it gets to rural places and to anywhere that needs it. And ULA is going to be a trusted partner. They're also working with other companies as well, Blue Origin and some other ones. But the bulk of that contract went to ULA because of I think they've had 146 100% successful missions, and that's a pretty good track record.
They'll be competing with Starlink, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it will be a competitor to Starlink, and again, them signing with ULA gives them, an assured launch structure and record of which to build on. It caught a lot of attention. I know what we helped facilitate today was CNBC, was doing some interviews on that. Again, what that means for this community and nationwide. And again, Project Kuiper, as it is called,
right.
What they've got there. Providing that constellation, I don't know whether that's going to make sure that your prime deliveries get there even faster because they can be connected. Who knows? Amazon is one of those, certainly it's a force multiplier in every market it touches.
That's true.
And so it will be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right. They chose ULA because of that, sterling track record that they got going. And that new Vulcan it's going to be a heck of a rocket, and they're rolling that out. The first launch should be in 2022.
First briefing of the day was a group of 24 aerospace companies signing a diversity pledge in order to increase the diversity of their workforces. They will announce results of that every year at the Space Symposium collectively and how they're coming along in meeting that pledge. And there'll be Ordell Isaac has written a story on that. There'll also be a video with that. And the last thing I'll mention is a lot of cool stuff down in the exhibit hall. Mm-hmm. There's a moon rover. There's an Artemis mock-up. That's the capsule that's going to the moon. There's also a mock-up of the current space station and the new orbital reef.
We are not for lack of items to display when you have two exhibit halls that are full with 275 exhibits. And I think one of the other things that really stands out, it is an Epcot of space.
Yeah.
As a point, the Australia delegation that came has a significant footprint on that exhibit floor. They brought 42 companies.
Wow.
42 companies. And in speaking with them today, they are, I guess I shouldn't use this phrase in the space community, but they're over the moon with the attendance and the engagement that they have to be able to show what capabilities Australia is bringing to bear here. And as we look at relationships, strategic and economic relationships around the world, having one with Australia is critical. And Australia wanted to make sure everybody saw they are here, they have capabilities, they're proud, and they want to work with people. But we saw that with Japan, we saw that with Italy, we saw that with UK, and again, Sweden. There's just, it is an Epcot. And again, I am confident when we have the next symposium, a year from now, you're going to see that international footprint grow even more.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Well, that's it for day one, folks. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow to talk about what happened in day two.